All right, what's up guys? Got a cool video today. So my brother just uploaded a video about the cost of ownership of his 2020 C63 AMG. And I want to do the same thing with the Porsche because I don't think there's a lot of numbers that go around online, but you don't get a lot of like numbers of like, all right, what does it actually cost someone to own a car? And I mean from like the little things to like the basic, you know, the monthly payment and the insurance. I'm gonna break this up into 4 parts. First one is just like the basics, right? You got your monthly payment and like insurance payment. That's what everyone will talk about. The second part here is gas. And I've got this written down, so bear with me here. I'm gonna throw this up just so it's easy to kind of follow along. But gas. So especially if you're daily in these cars, they're not efficient, right? My GT4 gets about 7 miles to the gallon, which is terrible. It's a 6-cylinder. My brother has a bi-turbo V8, and I get worse gas mileage than him. So terrible. Next one is maintenance. So just like the basic maintenance stuff, right? What does it actually have? And these are my actual maintenance numbers for 2024. So it'll be cool because it's not just the regular maintenance stuff. Other shit always happens. And then the last part here that I don't think a lot of people really talk about is the depreciation. So I'll share the numbers, kind of the total breakdown, but I'll start it off here. For the entire year with maintenance and costs and payments and everything, I spent just about $35,000 on the year for the car, which is insane. That's a brand new Honda. So I could buy a brand new Honda every single year with that. But again, there's a give and take thing, and that doesn't tell the full story because my brother's car is half the price of mine, and it actually cost me less money to own the car than it cost him to own that car. So let me kind of break this out, get into the car, and then we'll get into the first few ones here. All right, before I get into the breakdown of everything, my brother and I created this brand, High Rev Detailing. Check it out. I'm gonna put it in the link below. In a nutshell, it's a microfiber drying towel. Best microfiber towel you're gonna find on the market to kind of dry your car, one-stop shop type of thing. Check it out. The main thing I think I want to talk about, just because it matches with the episode, is we have a slogan, wipe down, level up on here. And that's because my brother and I, we came from owning the shittiest cars, like $1,500 cars, super ugly cars. And like every time we were at the car wash, we always saw like the car next to us. And it was like the AMGs, the BMWs, you know, the Porsches, the Ferraris. And it was always like, damn, man, one day, you know? And fortunately, things have worked out for us. You know, like I'm driving a GT4 now. So the idea behind the wipe down, level up is like you're wiping down a certain car today, but you're always wanting to level up. Even now, I drive this car in the car wash, but I look at the cars next to me sometimes and I'm like, I want a McLaren next. I want a Ferrari. And you know, super cool, super dope. Check out the link below. Really appreciate the support on this, but let's get back into it. So the first part here, the foundations are just the basics of costs here. I'm gonna be looking at my phone just so I can remember things. So 2 parts really here. I'm gonna share 3 parts. So the first one, MSRP on the car. This car, MSRP was $132,000. The thing with Porsches that is like somewhat annoying, but also amazing is that Porsches hold their value really well. And so I paid $132,000 for this car. The sticker price on this car, I think it's like $117,000. Keep in mind, it's a 2020. I bought it in 2023. So it had 2 previous owners. But Porsche, you know, pricing just, it's not math in a nutshell. So $132,000. My monthly payment is $2,100 and change. I'm gonna round up to $2,200. So $2,200 a month. And then my insurance payment on this is $150 a month. I'm 31 years old at this point. I got it when I was 30. I have a clean driving record, so it definitely helps when you're not dumb. My record was terrible when I was younger. I know my brother, on his video, his insurance payment for his C63 is twice as much as it is for this car. But, so $2,200 a month, $150 on the insurance. That puts me at about, what is it, about let's call it a little under $2,400 a month for the car. Now, the one thing I will call out here is I got this car in December of 2023, at the end of it, and interest rates are terrible. And I know this is not like a financial thing, so just as a heads up, my interest rate on this car, I think is 9%. Yeah, it is 9%. That's just the best you were gonna get at the time, regardless of your credit. I have good credit, I have good income, so call out there. All right, the next one here is gas. This car eats up gas like a motherfucker. So we're in California, we're paying $5 a gallon here. This car gets something like 6 miles to the gallon, give or take, depending on my mood. And more often than not, the mood is about seven miles to the gallon. So I spend, I think, somewhere around $60 to $70 per fill up. I fill up probably 3 times a week. We're gonna double check it right now, but about $70 per fill up, $60 to $70 per fill up. I fill up 3 times a week, give or take. So 70 times 3, I spend about $200 a week on gas on this car. That is insane. And honestly, I remember when I first got it, you're kind of full of joy and whatnot, so you're kind of just pumping it, and like, I didn't really think about it. And I forgot when I realized, oh, it's because my credit card will give me a breakdown of like what I've spent, if I've increased spend and whatnot. And it showed my gas costs went up by like 3x. Before this car, I didn't have a sports car. I didn't have a sports car for probably like 7 months. So my gas was efficient before. But this car, it's fucking terrible. So if we put that, what is that? 210 times 4 weeks. Damn, what am I, like $800? A little over like $850 a month on gas? That's a car payment. So then we add that up again, right? $200 monthly payment, $800 gas. I'm at about $3,000 a month there. Insurance, about $3,150. Maintenance is scattered across the year, so I won't include that, but that is crazy. My brother's, oh, and then you got a Turbo S here, so it's nice. My brother has a C63. His is a V8 bi-turbo. I think he gets like 13 miles to the gallon, give or take. So I can imagine he probably spends, I think my brother drives more than I do though. So it probably balances out. Again, this one's like 8 MPG, give or take. And I'm at $68 right now. I just broke 70. So it definitely costs more than 70 to fill this up. Yeah, shit is not cheap. It's crazy. Oh damn, I think I'm gonna hit, oh no, all right. So I got 76 to fill this up. Yeah. I'm gonna leave the math of the evens just to make it easy. Say it again? I had some guy come up to me. I don't know where I got left off. Oh yeah, so $77 is what it cost me to fill up. Now that kind of ranges depending on the gas prices. Gas prices can be higher than $5, so take that for what it is, but that's a lot of fucking money. And then the last one I kind of want to cover here is depreciation. So let me mount this back up and then we'll get right into it. All right, next one here, maintenance. So we got the basics of the monthly payment insurance. We got the gas out the way. Now maintenance. So again, I've had this car for a full year, for 2024. So in 2024, I had to do one regular maintenance, which is like the oil change and all that stuff. I did go to Porsche. I'm not a big fan of trying to save money and trying to take it somewhere else, honestly, especially with Porsches. Porsches, when you go to resell, having the Carfax with the history of the maintenance and everything done at Porsche goes a long way. So I stuck to that. When I took it in for maintenance, I took it in for 2 things, but if I remember right, I remember my total bill was about $2,600, $2,700. I think the maintenance alone was $2,000. Again, it was for like a 15K, I think it was a 15K maintenance, I don't remember, but I don't even know really what they do, right? They do the whole shebang. That's what that was. Is it a lot? It's a lot more than I used to pay. because I'm choosing to go to the dealership. But like, I mean, you can do an oil change. I'm sure I can do the oil change on this car and do everything on my own if I really wanted to and put the effort for probably 500 bucks, if that. So you definitely pay the premium when you're going to the dealership. And that's one of the things to take into consideration. Again, specifically with Porsches, it's usually recommended you go to the dealership because you want the Carfax noted that it's been maintenance at Porsche, because it really helps with the resale value. So the other thing, that same time when I took it to the dealership, I had got a nail in the tire. Now, I will even kind of skip this part real quick. Prior to when I did the maintenance, I bought a new set of tires for the car. They were kind of wearing down, so they kind of just needed, or I remember I think 2 of them were like dying down. The other ones were kind of on the verge. They recommended to do 2. I just did all 4. This is on Michelin Cup tires, Michelin Cup 2 tires. So they're not cheap. I think they're like $600-700 a tire, give or take. And they got some pretty big tires on here. So I think the tires, got it here. If I'm not mistaken, a full tire set cost me $2,800. It's something along those lines. So $2,800. Now, fast forward, it was only like a month and a half later. And again, these are the things that happen when you own these kind of cars. Life happens. $2,800, and literally a month later, I'm at the car wash with my brother filming, and we're washing the cars to get them clean because we're gonna take rollers of them. And as I'm putting tire shine on one of the tires, I see a shiny little kind of ding there. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I check it, a nail. I'm like, damn. And it was on Thanksgiving Day. So luckily I was right next to a tire shop. So I took it over to the tire shop because it didn't look flat, so it looked like it was holding the air. Took it to the tire shop, and the guy came out. He's like, honestly, man, we're not gonna be able to patch the tire. He's like, the nail is right on the edge of kind of what a sidewall would be considered, and you can't patch sidewalls, or at least they don't. He's like, you can take it to a mom and pop shop and they may do it, you know, but like, given the pressure you're putting on the tire, probably not recommended. So that's when I was like, all right, well, the car needs maintenance anyways, and I needed a tire. And again, it was Thanksgiving. I didn't want to take it home, put it under the garage, because I live in an apartment building, so my garage is under, and so there's like a steep thing going down, and tow trucks can't get under there. My fear was that if I took it home, threw it under the garage, then I wouldn't be able to get it out, right? Then I need some sort of mobile and have to jack it up. It was just gonna be a mess. So I called Porsche. I was like, hey, can I just drop it off and you guys will take care of it when you take care of it? Sure enough, dropped it off a week later. So I got the maintenance done, $2,000, and then the one single tire, I think, cost me about $700, give or take. So for the year, let me just get to this stop real quick. It was $2,800 for the first tire set, $2,700 for the next maintenance with that extra tire repair. That means I spent, math here, $5,500 for the year on maintenance stuff. That's a lot of money. But again, it's those little things that just add up, you know, when you're owning these types of cars. And you can save money, you can drive the car less, you can, you know, there's a bunch of things that may vary. I'm just trying to give you my story of how I drove the car. For context, again, I put 17,000 miles on this car in a single year. So, you know, I've used the car, and not just that, I drive it aggressively every single day. Literally, this car rarely sees a full day under the garage. I always drive it for everything. So, is it a lot? Who knows? At this point, again, I just take into consideration that, like, that's the cost of owning this type of car. So be aware that's what you're signing up for. Depreciation on the car. This is the one, if you need to pay attention to any single segment here, this is the one I need you to pay attention to, because this is the one that a lot of people honestly don't even understand what it means. Everyone knows you lose money on cars, but nobody understands, all right, well, what does that really mean? And this is why you have like these crazy gurus online saying you can drive a Ferrari for free, or it costs less to drive a Porsche than it costs to like drive a Honda or something like that, right? And the statement in itself is pretty fucking crazy to say, but there is some truth to that. And here's why. Again, the car is $132,000 MSRP. I drove the car for a year and drove 17,000 miles on it. I know for probably most people, that doesn't sound that crazy, but for context, again, I bought this car 2023, so it was 3 years old, 2 previous owners. That means what? Each owner put 2,500 miles on it over. That means, yeah, so 2 owners, 5,500 miles in 3 years. That's, what is that? About less than 2,000 miles a year. I put 17,000 miles on it. Now, a lot of people, when you get to these kind of cars, they don't put mileage on it because they don't want the depreciation, right? Or they don't want to wear and tear it. I don't know. For whatever reason, once you get to expensive cars, people just don't drive their cars. That was never going to be me. And I know for sure that's not going to be my brother. And that's why when my brother and I look at buying cars, we look at, can we afford to take the fat hit when we try and get rid of the car? Because realistically, we're not keeping many cars for an entire length of the loan. So 132,000 miles, $132,000 loan, 9% interest. I don't know what the cost of the interest on all that was off the top of my head. I put 17,000 miles on the car. I got a quote in December. I was debating about getting rid of the car. I only put $10,000 down on this car too, because I won't get into it, but only 10,000. So basically just the taxes, and which you shouldn't do. You should put more. This car, I took it as an exception for other reasons, and I was gonna get rid of it because I wanted to get a G-Wagon, because at end of year taxes, and if you know the fancy way of owning car, then like tax breaks with a G-Wagon. And I got the highest valuation I got on this car was $110,000. I owed $117,000 or 116 and change. I think I rounded up to 117. So I had only lost about $7,000, which I know sounds like a big loss, but really that is not bad at all. That is very minimal depreciation, because again, 9% interest, I would say probably I paid at least $2,000 in interest, if not more, for the year. Right, so then that would bring that down to about $5K. Given the fact that I put 17,000 miles in a year, again, also very, very fair. Like, that is by far the best thing. I forgot the numbers of my brother, but my brother, his car is half the value of this car. I think his cost him like $75,000, $70,000, give or take. And my brother put $20,000 down on the car. And his negative equity from start to getting a quote, I think he was like a negative $26,000. That is crazy, $26,000. And that's he bought the car used. When you buy a car brand new, right out the gate, that car is probably $90,000. A month later, that car is probably only worth $70,000. You'll lose $20,000 in a month. So the fact that I drove this car for 17,000 miles, only had a negative balance of 7,000, and given the high interest rate, honestly, it couldn't get much better. And it still made sense for me to do it because of the tax breaks I was going to get with the G-Wagon and this and this and that. I didn't end up doing it for multiple reasons, but I couldn't be happier with that. And honestly, I knew that going in, and it's not the main reason I got a Porsche. I love Porsche as a brand and kind of what it is for cars. But that is a huge thing for me when I'm looking to get my next car. At this point, honestly, with 6-figure cars, I am not in the business of trying to fucking lose $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. I've seen guys who bought like the Ferrari SF90 who have lost multiple 6 figures on the car. Multiple 6 figures, meaning they lost at least $100,000, if not $200,000 to $300,000. I don't care how rich you are, that hurts. And it's a terrible way to lose money. So I'm not in the business of doing that. And any car typically I get at this point needs to have some sort of like strong hold on depreciation. So Porsches, all Porsche GTs hold value extremely well. So I suggest if you're looking for a car, look into what those depreciation numbers look like. For 99% of you, honestly, you need to buy used. very few cars out the gate will do well brand new, other than maybe Porsche GTs and some like really high-end exotics. But 99% buy used, at least 2 years old. If you are gonna put, here's a hack that my brother kind of taught me. If you're gonna drive the hell out of the car, buy a car that already has high mileage, because in that way, they already put a ton of the depreciation. And if you're in a Porsche, high mileage is not a scary thing, because these cars do really well with reliability. They don't give you any issues. I haven't had any issues. And when I tell you I've beaten the hell out of this car, I've never tracked it. I'm never gonna track it, but I drive the hell out of this car a lot. So keep that in mind. Let's wrap things up and kind of go through all the numbers.
All right, to wrap this up, let me pull this up one more time. So, the basics, fundamentals, MSRP is a $132,000 car, $2,200 a month, $150 a month in insurance. I'm gonna have something up here to kind of walk through the whole thing. So, I am at about, what is that, $23.50 a month so far. Gas, I spent about $800, between $800 and $900 a month on gas. So that puts me a little over $3,000. Maintenance is scattered across the year, but maintenance, $2,000 regular maintenance for whatever the fuck they do. Bought a new set of tires, $2,800, and then I had to buy one more tire, so $700. So $5,500 for the year there. Kind of crazy, but honestly, it's kind of the shit you expect when the car is 6 figures. Depreciation, again, crazy one. If you actually look at depreciation numbers across any of the other cars, I'm going to look this up right now, but like I know lowest depreciation cars, Porsche's constantly at the top of the depreciation for things. Yeah, so the GT4, 3% or 2.5% depreciation over a 5-year span. I don't know exactly kind of what that goes into, because again, the car never really ends up under MSRP, so it's weird there. So that puts my grand total for the year, rounded up, $35,000 for the year. That is crazy. I can see why. I mean, you make 6 figures, you definitely don't make enough money to afford a car like that. I think if you look at the car and you're like, yeah, it's car's $130,000, I make $130,000 a year. Let's say you put $20,000 down. If you just take into consideration the monthly payment and the insurance, it sounds like it kind of makes sense. I mean, it's still like a good chunk of your income, but like it's definitely doable. But when you start adding all the other stuff, it adds up. And here's the crazy part. Porsches are reliable, so really maintenance and all that stuff wasn't that much, because like if you have a McLaren, if you have any of these other cars, really, even like in the lower mid cars, I know Mercedes has constant transmission issues. Now we're hoping we have warranty and stuff like that. That's a whole other thing. That's another one actually. I took the Porsche into the dealership for some electrical issues and speaker issues, like the speaker is blown. And then one of my windows stopped going down all the way. But that was covered by warranty. I bought it CPO, so it's covered for the next 4 years. I think it's unlimited miles, which is insane. So like that just goes to show the trust that Porsche has. But yeah, kind of wraps this up. Hope it's super helpful. Again, I think it's super cool to kind of see the specific numbers of actually owning some of these cars. Let me know what cars you guys have and what your depreciation is, if you know it, or roughly kind of what that looks like. All right, later.